Hello there. Today we will create this second page with components from our first page, as you can see here. Let's create the second page just to have our destination. Where do we want to copy? For that we will go to the pages dashboard and click on the add new page. Let's clean up this canvas so we have the same layout as in the first page that we had earlier. Also remember to clear the padding. Before switching between pages, Composer Pro really requires us to save the app. Now we will need all these components, but we cannot copy paste everything, so we have to place all individual components into one container, and after we place them we can use our computer's regular Ctrl+C or Command+C copy paste key binding. On the second page, just do the pasting key binding, Ctrl+V or Command+V, and there we have it. Everything from the previous page we have on the second page as well. Let's place everything out to the page layout from the container we used to copy with, and let's get doing our new style. First, let's change the text to our desired text. Now we will not use any date component here, so we simply can get rid of this. Let's copy paste this service item container because we will use this as our selected service and selected date container. Also paste it up between the two text containers, and let's clean this up. We will not need the icon there, so let's get rid of that. Instead of the icon, we will have another text component, which will say either service or either date. We will also not need any image or description there, so we can get rid of that as well. Let's clean up our tree so we always know where we are. Also change the size of the label to fit content so that it does not take much more space than it needs. Let's copy it because this is the same layout for the date as well. And also we need to set the size of our background container to this desired one, which is, well, not specifically fit content. We also need some more padding to the left because it's just too much to the left of the screen. You don't always need to create new styles for specific components. You can leave it right there, don't save, and then it's just gonna apply that specific styles to this one component. Okay, let's create our time slot container, which means that we have to clean that up and set the size to fit content and add a text component inside that, because we will have basically text inside that. We also don't need to have it this big, so we will change the text style as well. And also there is a lot of padding around the text, so we will need to decrease that. What I usually follow is that the top and bottom should be half of the padding that you give to the sides, to the right and the left, and then this has kind of same look. Let's just copy paste so we have our idea how it would look like, and it's definitely not what we need because it's vertical layout, not horizontal. So let's remove the title of the services container. That's the wrong spot. Okay, there we go. Now we can change the layout of service container to, oh well, first clean up the name. And then we can change the layout to horizontal. And what we need to do is to wrap children, because else it would just go all the way to the right outside the screen. And to have a nice arrangement of the items, we need to set that between space. Now this looks weird because we don't have bottom spacing. That's important in this case, and also to clear the right gap, because that also messes up with the layout. Let me just quickly add some sample text in here. So as the next step, we need to have our input fields in. But you do have input field component, which has a label, an input, and also some styling options. But me personally, I still like to create everything from scratch. This is why I use a container with a text and a primitive input component, because I have way more styling options in this. And that we can reuse our own previously built styles. Okay, we have to edit it because of the paddings are not right. Also, there is too big of a space between the text and the input. So let's, well, first change the text and then change the space as well. And now it's time to style our input field. We also need to set its shape to the same rounding as we have always or everywhere, which would be a static number of 30. So let me just quickly do that. There we have it, but it's still not in a correct position. We need the text a little bit more padding. And add some padding to the left and right side of the input field container. Let's bring in the name more to the center on the layout because we cannot set its padding. And there we have our input field, but it's still wide as the screen. We don't need that wide, so let's just add some more spacing. Copy paste, change the label, and we'll do the rest in a future video. By the rest, I mean the data binding and logic behind the app. As the last step, we would need to add the navigate back button as well. Since our button right now is not in a container, we would need to add one for our horizontal layout and also to give more spacing for the icon and the user to tap. We would need a container for the icon itself. Let's name our navigation container. Change the icon to left. We don't want this container to be the full width, so let's just change the width to a percentage value and also set the position to middle so it's always on the center. And we don't need that big of a padding and container for the icon, but we do need some space for the user to be able to tap. So let's go with the 56 pixels. And of course, we need to set the layout to put the icon into the center of the container. And add it a little bit more styling. Okay, there we have it. This, basically the same style, same layout as we wanted to have. And now let's go ahead and add the navigation logic. For that, we will need the logic canvas where we have, in this case, it's a container. On the container, we have the component tab event, and from the left side, the same way as we can drag on view components, we can drag logic. In this case, we need the navigate back button. The navigation logic navigate back, we will take you back to the previous page. On the flow function market, you can find tons of useful functions, whether it should be utility or data related. And if you don't find anything that's perfect for you, you might find some community build ones on the forums. On the first page, we also need to navigate to the second page, which is the same logic. Here you can choose whether to show it in modal or not. In our case, we don't want to have it as a temporary page, but a permanent navigation. This is why the setting to modal is false. And let's choose our direction, which is the second page, and that's it. Now we can preview the app. For now, I will only preview it as a web app, but that's also a good idea to see how your app looks like. Also, to see the mobile layout, when you open up the web view, press F12 on your keyboard or open up the inspector view in your browser, and you will be able to set dimensions. Oh yeah, we have the navigation to the left and on the top. That's the basic navigation for a web app. Let's disable that. Each change is represented in the web view, well, basically instantly. So there we have it. In the next one, we will start building our logic as well. Cheers and see you then.